Hello and welcome to my 5 Tops Tips video for playing Age of Wonders Planetfall after getting the Revelations DLC and the free Stegosaurus update. There have been a lot of cool things added to the game and a couple changes to some things that already exist in the game that are worth going over and easy to miss, even if you're watching all of the dev diaries, all of the streams, and even some of the stuff in ParadoxCon. I think there's enough there that you may have missed one or two of those details that makes a pretty big change. I do want to start off this video with a bit of a disclaimer, a full disclaimer. I got a press copy of the Revelations DLC, and while I don't think that's going to affect anything here in this tips video, I did want to make that crystal clear because the only reason I was able to put this all together is because Paradox is kind enough to share keys with small channels such as myself. And yeah, with that out of the way, I think we're ready to jump into our first tip, which is the auto combat rerolls are incredibly useful and very easy to forget about. If you take an army and you fight them like this with auto combat and you don't like the results, say one of your units dies, you can press this button over here to retry it. And if you're not sure why things went as poorly as they did, you can even watch the replay. I did that in my stream earlier today, and I thought that was really cool, being able to understand why my units are actually in danger. I had a fight where 3 of my 6 units were wiped out, and it said like low risk, so I was pretty curious, and that really helped me understand what I needed to avoid, how I needed to use my hero to kind of tank shots, because the hero was not tanking shots. All the other units were taking a lot of damage, way too much damage. But yeah, I think that this button, even after I was aware of it for a couple hours, it's very, very easy to forget about it and to fall back into old habits. So yeah, first tip is don't forget about the retry button. It's amazing, and if you do, you'll probably end up regretting it, because this actually is pretty cool. I think auto combat can win battles that you were going to lose. So yeah, very, very happy with that change. I think it's amazing that the developers are listening to the community and making that kind of change, because I think that was even requested in Age of Wonders 3. But we're ready to move on to the next topic. We've talked enough about auto combat rerolls. Now let's talk about vehicles. Vehicles add a little bit of defense and HP instead of replacing them. Beforehand, when you'd go in here and you'd buy a vehicle, it would replace your HP pool with the vehicle HP pool, and I believe your armor may have stayed the same. I'm pretty sure it stayed the same instead of changing over to the armor of the vehicle. But yeah, it basically turned out that nobody wanted to use vehicles because it was really limiting the performance of their commanders. So now you've got this option to increase your HP and maybe some stats, and on top of that, maybe add some mobility to your guy. If you get like a hover bike, I think that's a floating thing, so then your guy can float across the map. And while I don't think it's enough of a change to get me to use vehicles, I think it's a change in the right direction. Maybe make vehicles a little bit cheaper, or give a slight bonus to the damage that they do compared to other vehicles. I don't really know how to balance it. I know during ParadoxCon when they were talking about it, I think it was Tom, he said that there was some people internally who were able to take out a lot of structures with just a hero with some like massively overpowered vehicles, and yeah, combined with the right traits, I think yeah, you can do some pretty deadly stuff. And maybe even with the current version of the game you can do that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they end up doing more with this, because I think this tweak is going to be something that the community has a lot to say on, and they may end up backtracking a little bit of what they did to make the vehicles better. My guess is probably not. I'm not that tempted to use them, so I'm guessing other people won't be using them any more than I would. Alright, let's move on to the next tip, which is our Ecology sites. I would prioritize them as much as possible. surveying slash locating the small anomaly sites are incredibly important. Once you've got 2 of those, this is, oh, it's a large anomalous site that appeared there over there because of somebody else. I think this one's small. Yeah, once you get 2 of these and you've fully excavated them, then you'll get a medium what do you call them, a site thing, location where you can get nice stuff. And after you've completed the medium one, it will spawn in a large one. This was not here. This is the large one I've been working on. This anomalous site was not here until I completed my medium one. And yeah, I think that it takes a little bit of time to go through that stuff, but if you give your heroes the right stats, if you give them the level up points, like Archaeology Adept, you can rush through it a lot quicker. This guy doesn't have it because I sent him over just to kind of wrap it up to fight some fights. He's got this really, really nice thing right here. It gives resurgence. I think that came from an Ecology site that I cleared out relatively early. I went over to a small site, got that, and I was like, wow, okay, now I win, right? Not quite. The other players are able to get some stuff from their Anomaly sites, and they're pretty scary. But if you complete it, small spoiler, you can get some really incredible units like this guy. We're gonna let him join us. Now we got this dude, he's level 15, and he comes with some really good loot. Like, cool, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. And that's nice. All this is nice. Oh, and let's not forget that his primary weapon does 44 damage with all this stuff on it. So yeah, really quite nice. I would recommend you try to complete those sites because I bet all of them have equivalent benefits or something close to that kind of benefit. Maybe you need to memorize which choices give you the best stuff, but I don't know. That's not that fun. I don't recommend memorizing all the event chains unless you are maybe really competitive when it comes to multiplayer. Now we're ready to move on to my next tip. Tip number 4 has to do with annexing. Annexing no longer requires an army to be present. This place right here, this city is ready for another sector, so all I need to do is click on this and I can annex that, or I could annex this. It makes it pretty easy to expand, at least when you're trying to expand your cities. I would really like it if you could do the same with these army locations. If you could negotiate with them without an army present, I think that would be a really nice change in the future that I think the developers would consider pretty seriously, given that they just did something like that for you know, grabbing things, kind of like grabbing a location, grabbing a sector. It should be, I think, just as easy, or rather, switch that around. Grabbing a site should be just as easy as grabbing a sector. You know, a site's one location, a sector's a big, vast swath of land. I don't know. Something tells me that this should be easier, but at the same time, I'm incredibly happy to have that change. That makes it's a really good quality of life change, and it makes me really hopeful to see you know, what other quality of life changes we're going to see in the near future. Probably some pretty cool, pretty useful ones, but who knows? The future is a mystery. Okay, now I think we're ready to move on to my 5th tip, which is naval combat is a lot more useful than it used to be. It's definitely a lot easier to develop and maintain. I know that, you know, in terms of raw economy, the water sectors give you more resources initially, and then they can't be upgraded as much, so they used to be pretty good for that, and nobody was really using the water sectors to build water units. I always like doing that because I know having water units makes water combat a lot easier, and then you can clear out other sites. But I know that maybe if you're playing a more competitive multiplayer, it's not great spending a bunch of resources on units that don't see a lot of combat. So they reduced the upkeep of all, what you call it, of all boats to half of what it used to be, and they made it so that you get the first tier of it and the without any research. You used to have to research a boat And now the tech that used to be for, I think, tier 1s has been replaced with this one here, so that you can just grab your boats a little bit quicker. Not sure if the Amazon tree is different than others. Let's switch over to Syndicate to just kind of compare their boats. Where are your boats, Syndicate? You got boats? Oh, we got Devar. We know we have Devar boats. So yeah, this I think used to be a different boat entirely, and I love that I love that boats can be used more often. I think that boats were a good addition to the game that was kind of neglected. I don't think there's anything I forgot about that. Yeah, they made it easier to keep them around, rationalize having them, and they moved the tech forward. So yeah, that's that for that tip, and that's actually that for all of the tips. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe, and maybe check out some of my other videos. I have a lot of beginner's guides on the NPC factions in Planetfall. I've got guides on Stellaris, and a couple other games. One or two that come to mind are oh, Sunless Skies was a good one. I played some Banner Saga. I don't think I did any guides on that, but yeah, check it out. See see how you feel about it. Let me know how you feel about it. I'm looking forward to your, hearing from you. Have a good one.